Former President George W. Bush has pled guilty and evidently has agreed to be executed for his part in 9/11 crimes, according to intel coming out of the Gitmo military tribunals, which began on January 2nd, 2019. The trials are being filmed and will be released at a later date, and transcripts will be made available through us here at Truth Unsealed. George W. Bush met with President Trump and was granted the reprieve from the embarrassment of going through a trial. He agreed to turn state's evidence against the deep state and his father, former President George H.W. Bush, mainly on their 9/11 crimes, but also on violations of the RICO Act and child trafficking, in exchange for a quiet execution which will take place at the conclusion of the trials, as he may be called in several times to testify. His reputation will be allowed to remain intact. Former Presidents Bush, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton, along with Hillary Clinton and former Vice President Joe Biden, were served with indictments in envelopes slipped into their programs at Bush Sr.'s funeral on December the 5th, 2018. Reports coming in from several credible sources indicate that they are believed incarcerated in a special prison called Camp 7 at Guantanamo Bay. The government has recently spent $69 million to build Camp 7, which is designed to hold 15 high-value detainees. It is also being reported from evidence leading up to the military tribunals at Gitmo that on August 25, 2018, Senator John McCain was executed for treason and child trafficking, and on November 30, 2018, former President George H.W. Bush was executed for violations of the RICO Act and child trafficking. Bush pled guilty to taking part in the JFK assassination and designing the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan. On January 28th, Gitmo pretrial hearings began on 5 defendants of the 9/11 crimes, trials that were subsequently delayed until March because of a military court judge's medical problems. No mainstream media will be allowed to cover the military tribunals on political elites that are expected to last for around 2 years. It is well known that the U.S. press has been controlled by George Soros-owned organizations. Sources indicate that Soros himself has been arrested on February the 3rd and is believed presently under interrogation at a bunker near Gastonal, Switzerland. The evidence to arrest Soros is said to come from former President Barack Obama and other informants at Gitmo. Evidently, members of what was known as the Alliance stormed his retreat at St. Margrethenburg, Switzerland, based on a tip from local police. The Alliance was a military force working under orders of the Pentagon, Gitmo military tribunal judges, and in conjunction with legal entities across the globe. Soros has been suspected of illegally influencing U.S. elections over the years and was thought behind thousands of immigrants forcing their way across the U.S. border. His organizations are believed to own and control software used in state voting machines, and even worse, the multi-billionaire is known to be a leader in the Vatican's Ninth Circle satanic cult. He is thought to be behind regularly scheduled satanic child sacrifice rites and human hunting parties organized under the Vatican and involving children and kidnapped teens across the globe, according to Kevin Annett of the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State. Evidently, the Alliance had enough evidence supplied by former U.S. President Barack Obama and other informants at Gitmo to arrest Soros. Believed to be in poor health, Soros is reported to have been prevented from committing suicide with a cyanide pill prior to capture. Presently, he's thought to be under interrogation at a bunker near Gasternal, Switzerland. J. Christian Adams, a former DOJ attorney under the Obama administration, who is now president of the Public Interest Legal Foundation, once told Fox News that Soros had Obama's Department of Justice at his beck and call. Soros's organizations in the U.S. were instrumental in shaping DOJ policy under the Obama administration, according to Adams, noting allegations that Soros was involved in police procedures and voter ID rules across the country. He said Americans do not understand the extent to which Soros fuels this anti-constitutional, anti-American agenda. As far as Soros's involvement in the international child exploitation ring run by the Vatican, back on August 16th of 2014, human sacrifices of 2 children on a blood-stained altar was interrupted by police and an ITCCS team in an upscale neighborhood in Outremont, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The satanic rite was believed organized by George Soros and executives of Sinclair Oil and the Cargill Corporation. The children were said to be held at McGill University, the site of CIA 1940s to 1960s MK-Ultra torturous experiments on children. A few years ago, in just one ITCCS raid on the Soros Vatican Ninth Circle, they found sexually abused, beaten, and starved babies and children, all below the age of 6, in small padlocked cages among frozen body parts of prior victims. Raids by ITCCS teams and local police had also disrupted satanic Ninth Circle child sacrifice rites at Catholic facilities in Zwolle, Holland, Dijon, France, and Lucerne, Switzerland. Documents found at Soros's retreat revealed the locations of cabal underground bases from Ireland to Croatia, as well as a new type of CERN quantum machine. Alliance sources revealed that this was their technology stolen back in 2007. Sources are indicating that Obama is incarcerated at Gitmo and has been for at least a month, exposing crimes of upper echelons of the deep state to save his own life and prevent his execution. Obama has been charged with high treason for multiple crimes, including Uranium One, the Benghazi massacre, and the cover-up by the FBI, the same crimes as Hillary Clinton has been charged with, along with her husband and the Clinton Foundation for crimes in running criminal enterprises, obstruction of justice, and money laundering. Multiple sources have confirmed that former Clinton campaign chief John Podesta and his brother Tony Podesta are among 17 D.C. indictees. The Podesta brothers are under investigation for child kidnapping, pedophilia, and their involvement in selling the country's uranium to Russia. Among Soros' suspected many other crimes were illegally influencing U.S. elections. He was said to own the software for many state voting machines, organizing and funding illegal immigrants to force their way across the U.S. border, and was reported as the leader of a child trafficking and exploitation ring for the Ninth Circle child sacrifice cult run out of the Vatican. Only certain reporters are being allowed to access the tribunals under the direction of the Trump administration. Myself, along with Leonard Baccani and Linda Forsythe, are 2 of the very few reporters being allowed access to the military tribunals. Leonard Baccani is a retired Santa Ana police officer and founder of Homeland Security Services, Inc., headquartered in Southern California. Linda Forsythe is a citizen journalist, news commentator, and founder of Sea Vine International Foundation. We will be making transcripts of the military tribunals available through our websites and here at Truth Unsealed. After 9/11, on September the 14th, 2001, Congress passed the basis for martial law and military tribunals. An executive order for military tribunals signed by President Donald Trump went into effect on January the 1st of this year, and the pre-trials started on January the 2nd. The tribunals are being held in secret locations at Gitmo, various military bases, and federal courts across the nation. Some are known to be going on right now in South Carolina. U.S. Attorney John Huber and his 174 investigators have spent over 2 years investigating and filing over 71,000 indictments against political and global elites in federal courts. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, General James Mattis, and General John Kelly are in charge of the military tribunals. So there you have it, folks. George Soros arrested, detained in a bunker in Gastenau, Switzerland. Former President George W. Bush pleading guilty to high crimes and misdemeanors, treasonous acts, and the cover-up of his father's activities, as well as the involvement in 9/11 and its subsequent cover-up. Now, this is very important. We have just been handed, during the course of the time you were watching this report, some additional information about former President Barack Obama. This is huge. You're going to want to pay attention to this. Apparently, former President Obama has admitted that the apparent execution of Osama bin Laden in 2011 was a fake. That Osama bin Laden was not taken out at a compound in 2011 as was indicated by Barack Obama. We're also learning that Osama bin Laden died in the caves of Afghanistan back in 2001. Obama has known this for quite some time. This entire thing was designed to take pressure off of the ongoing scandals racking his administration at the time in 2011 and 2012 when he was, priming for his re-election campaign. He was also trying to protect his Secretary of State, Hillary Rodham Clinton. So the entire scenario of Osama bin Laden being taken out was a fraud, a fake, and a lie. There was no body dumped at sea, as Obama had indicated, because there was no body. There was no corpse. Apparently, Osama bin Laden died in the mountains of Afghanistan in 2001. The Saudis helped to plan 9/11 along with George W. Bush for the sake of getting us into a war. The entire weapons of mass destruction scenario that was supposedly in Iraq, that has also been admitted to, not by former President George W. Bush, although he's pled guilty to many other crimes. This information is coming to us from former President Obama, who is attempting to avoid execution. My understanding, folks, about this information, my understanding is that the Trump administration has enough information on Barack Obama now, despite the information and the intel that he is turning over, that he will not be spared execution. If convicted of these crimes, if convicted of high treason, Barack Obama will be executed. But apparently, in addition to everything else, Obama has now admitted that Osama bin Laden had been long dead before the alleged execution at a compound in 2011 by Navy SEALs. So this was not true. This was not true. Okay, it's been covered up for too damn long, and apparently Barack Obama is now admitting this. Please spread this information as far and wide as you can. This is huge information. Now, I have been receiving a lot of emails from you folks about how do we know that these people have really been transported to Guantanamo Bay. Well, for one thing, if you take a look at the Twitter accounts of both have others involved in these crimes, individuals who are covering the military, is reporter Liz Crokin, a very credible source, especially with regard to the pedophilia and child and adult sex trafficking information that's coming out. All right, so we have a lot of intel here to bring to you. President George H.W. Bush and many of his elite friends, okay? And George W. Bush, the son, and former Vice President Dick Cheney are also involved. Former Vice President Joe Biden is involved, up to his eyeballs in this. I've got information that I've got to verify that I can't bring you yet. But let me tell you something, folks. This is huge. And if you continue to follow us here, you're going to get this information, and you're going to get the truth in your hands today, right here, right now. Please get a hold of this book, this bundle plus. It's thousands of hours worth of research. A natural emergency, such as a storm. It can be a man-made emergency, a man-made disaster. Any kind of an emergency. We're talking now about the very real possibility of martial law being implemented here in the United States by the Trump administration as this information continues to get out and the trials, the military tribunals continue. When such an emergency strikes, what is the impulse of most people? The impulse of most people is to get to the store to stock up on food and supplies in the event that they're not going to be able to get out of the house, or that travel is going to be hazardous, restrictive, and that when they finally do get to a place where they could make purchases, the stores will be cleaned out. And we have seen this happen many times. In the case of a bad snowstorm, a hurricane, a flood, a tornado, we have seen things happen where you can't get out, or if you do, the stores are cleaned out of the supplies you need. This need not be the case for you. How do you avoid this? You become a prepper, like I am. You become prepared. You get ready, because it's going to happen, it's going down, and it's going to be a mess. And one of the ways you can do that is to stock up on food. You've got to have food in your home. That's the life-sustaining substance. Food. Delicious, nutritious, storable food. Food which you can eat and enjoy in the comfort of your own home with your family and friends right now. But in the event of an emergency, you will have this food on hand to provide for yourself and your family. I have discovered a great company. And I mean a great company. I love these people because they care about their customers. They care about you. They're not just trying to sell you something. They want to protect you and your family. And I'm begging you to consider doing business with them, because not only will you enjoy the delicious, nutritious food, but if you do business with them, you're helping yourself, you're helping your family, you're helping our economy, and you're going to help yourself to the bundle plus of 18 reports on child and adult human trafficking here in the United States and around the world, and how we can help put an end to it, as well as the techniques which are being used by the deep state to bring down the Trump administration. Now, here's a great deal that we've got going on right now, and this is worth it. You go to a special website, my website. It's a website created by My Patriot Supply just for me. It's called preparewithdavid.com. That's preparewithdavid.com. Write it down. We'll show it again a little bit later, but preparewithdavid.com. Right now they got a special going on right now. A 2-week emergency supply of food for $75. That's 2 weeks worth of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Now, it is said that in an emergency, everyone in a household, every individual within a household should have a 2-week supply of emergency food on hand to protect themselves in the event of an emergency. I want you to email it to a bundle plus of 18 reports, including the notebook to help you follow along with truthunsealed.com. That's our flag.
Just lay on your back.
And none of them worked. That's why I invented.
I told you there'd be a third way, and there is. Here's what I want you to do. And I think you're going to be interested in this. Do you or any of your loved ones suffer from any of the following illnesses? Multiple sclerosis, cancer, fibromyalgia, diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome. Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's what I want you to join me this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, who retired after 30 years, and then call, in which you're going to hear testimonials from people who used a link here, and you decide to make a purchase of this assassination, execution, if you will, of Osama bin Laden was a lie. It did not take place in 2011. Osama bin Laden died in the mountains of Afghanistan back in 2001. This is breaking news. It is just coming across the transom right now. We are going to continue to follow all of this information for you, and we'll bring you the latest. And by the way, there are others involved in the reporting of this, and we're going to put a graphic up on the screen here at the end of this of the 2 other reporters besides myself who are getting access to the military tribunals, and where you're going to be able to get transcripts. We will have the video here.
Zapraszam do oglądania filmów Dawida Zublika na jego vlogu. Film ten został skasowany przez YouTube, więc wrzucam u siebie. Ciekawe jak na długo.